Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to today's video. I am Plant-Based Gabriel, and I have a very important, very special guest with me. It is Chuck from brandnewvegan.com. If you don't know him already, you should. If you're someone, the name says it all, brandnewvegan.com. But if you're someone who's transitioning to a plant-based diet, if you're someone who has made the transition and you're looking for easy, simple recipes, I always send people there, and you should definitely check it out. But I brought Chuck on for more than that reason. He has great recipes, but he recently had some health scares that I would say, and we're going to get into it, but I would say probably refocused him and really kind of had to reprioritize his way of eating and living. And so, Chuck, welcome on. Let everybody know who you are, what is Brand New Vegan, and then we can talk about some of the things that have recently happened.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Chuck, and as he said, I run a website called Brand New Vegan. I started that in 2013 as I was transitioning over, and I wanted to share what I was learning and how simple it is to cook this way and eat this way. And had to blog up for 7 years now almost. And like Gabriel said, I had a health scare last month, and I've always kind of focused on the McDougall way of eating from the beginning. But with a name like Brand New Vegan, I have always had a fight in my groups and on my page between the McDougallers and the vegans and who's right and who's wrong. So my site has always been a little mix of both. So I might have some more the fattier foods, some cashew sauces, stuff like that. But like you said, recently something happened, and I'm focused on strictly going full bore, 100% McDougall right now, and I had to for my health.
And that's important for our viewers. I mean, you've got great recipes out there, and just to be clear, none of them have oil in them, correct?
No,
Yeah,
absolutely right.
So completely oil free. And if you were someone who is following a whole foods plant-based diet, the generic kind of adopted by most of the plant-based doctors, you would be fine following all of the recipes on Brand New Vegan. And someone who's a healthy body weight, who started this at an early age, at a healthy time, there's really nothing, no problem with that. And all the recipes are great. But there are people, and we talked a little bit before we jumped on, but my family's adopted a plant-based diet, and my story, right? I lost 100 pounds after adopting a plant-based diet. I was a college football player, broke my back, regained my health. But I came from a very unhealthy family. I came from a family of obesity, from a family of being on every pill, potion, prescription ever written under the sun, just, keeping them alive just to be in and out of a hospital again. And so as I've helped them transition to a plant-based diet, the focus has really been on, it's not just about let's eat some tasty foods, which they're all tasty foods, but let's focus on our health and maximizing that to its potential, because for the past 40, 50 years, we've done the exact opposite. And why don't you run us through what happened? So you've had the blog up for 7 years. You've been this voice of brand new vegans everywhere, of people eating potatoes and rice and all these tasty dishes. And you've been that face. So what happened? Run us through it.
So, like you said, I probably 99.9% of the time have been just living on my recipes, which are fine. And they are plant-based, they're all oil-free. But, you go out with friends, you go out with your wife, you're busy in the day and you're hungry, you stop in to eat something, and you might get that occasional veggie burger. You might get that occasional vegan burrito at the Mexican restaurant. And we eat sometimes the fattier foods like the peanut butter, which is vegan and it's legal, but it is high in calorie density. It's very high in fat, or maybe the tofu or stuff like that. So it's that 1% that if you're not careful, it'll catch up with you. And in my situation, I'm not saying that's what happened. I think it was more like 50 years of eating a sad diet in my case. And I did eat horribly. I ate cheeseburgers, fries, pizza, bacon, cheese whiz, you name it. I ate it.
You ate all the standard American food groups.
Oh yeah, very, very much so. And I worked a career in the semiconductor industry. I worked night shift, which has its own stress. I've also had a lot of stress in my life from mixed marriage and working nights and financial troubles, whatever. And I smoked for
Mm-hmm.
50 years. So all that caught up with me February 24th when I had a stroke. And it came as a surprise to me. I went to the emergency room. They sent me back there immediately and did all the scans, did the MRI, did the CAT scan, all that stuff, and told me I had a stroke. And I was shocked. I'm like, this can't be happening. I'm vegan. I'm healthy. I eat whole food, plant-based. How can I have a stroke? And I don't eat meat. I don't eat dairy products. I eat plants. And I actually had two nurses try to tell me, because my cholesterol was elevated. That was one of the things they told me. My LDL was like 129. And they said, well, plants have cholesterol. I had nurses tell me this. And I'm like, you got Google out there on your little monitor. You might want to go look that up. That's not true. But anyway, I was mad. My wife tells me I was not a very good patient. I wanted out. Okay, you told me what happened. Let me out of here. And they kept me overnight. Okay. But that was like the biggest wake-up call ever. Was it my diet that caused it? I have finally had one doctor, and he was a really nice guy. He told me, you're looking at this the wrong way. You had a stroke. It was a very minor stroke. I have no residuals. This was 6 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. I have a little bit of slurring in my speech, just a little bit. And he said, if you had not been vegan, if you had not been eating this plant-based diet, this would have been a lot worse. And he said, your diet saves your life.
Wow. And
here I was thinking the diet, that 1% of the time I was eating not so healthy, I thought that was the cause of my stroke. No, the plant-based diet is what actually saved my life. So immediately I came home and got in touch with Dr. McDougall. Mm-hmm. I went to see his son, Craig, who's here in Portland, and he's a doctor, and he used to be my primary care doctor a long time ago. And I said, can you hook me up with Craig so I can see him? And he said, I really think you need to come to Santa Rosa. You need to attend my 10-day. So I had tickets. I had plane tickets. I had the 10-day McDougall Center tickets in hand. I was going to go. Mm-hmm. And then the coronavirus hit. So I said, okay, fine. If I can't go to the 10-day, I can at least eat at home like I was there. Mm-hmm. So I cleaned up all of my diet. I took out the tofu. I took out the cashew sauce. Obviously, there's no restaurants now. I took out anything I thought might be a yellow light, anything that might be, or a yellow food, anything that's questionable in the McDougall eyes. I took that out. And within 30 days, I lost 18.5 pounds. My blood pressure, which during the emergency room was sky high, it's come back down to normal. It was like 117 over 77 yesterday, and that's with no meds. Good. So I'm completely off all medication. I walk, exercise every day. I walk 30 minutes. I got some pretty steep hills. I eat very clean now, and I'm doing everything I can to prevent another stroke, obviously, but it just also happens to be the best way you can eat right now for this coronavirus going around too.
Certainly. Yeah.
That immune system.
Definitely. And it's something you said was great. And I think back to, there was a time when my dad was facing some pretty serious health issues, and it was really the point where there was a pinnacle of his ill health, and so he was facing having his leg amputated. He was his heart was going bad. I mean, his heart had already had problems, and he was 275, 300 pounds. He's a former college football player. and had eaten like a college student for the past 40 years and since graduating. And so, or 50 years. And so it got to the point where I had to come home, step home. And a lot of the listeners will know this story, but for the next 3-4 months, I cooked every single meal for him. And there was many brand new vegan meals. You can ask my mom right now. It's fun talking about it, but there was many brand new vegan meals that were on the dinner table. I think you have like a crumble with walnuts. Is it walnuts in it?
Yeah.
And we had that with tacos. And yeah, I just think back to a lot of different dishes. And so over the course of those 3-4 months, he lost 50 pounds. And, you know, and he was actually in a wheelchair because his leg was, they had a block in his leg. His replacement knee had an infection. That was the big thing. But a lot of people couldn't believe it. They said, oh, he must have exercised. Oh, he must have done this. He must have done that. They say, no, he lost 50 pounds from eating the right foods over the course of 3-4 months. And it didn't happen like he just, you know, hemorrhaged all this weight off. He just lost the excess fat. And that's a concept that a lot of people have some trouble with because it does seem far-fetched. Why don't you, and you say you lost 18.5 pounds in the last month. What do some meals look like? You know, we know Brand New Vegan has these wonderful meals on there, but what have meals looked like for the brand new vegan over the past month?
Very simple, which is, as a recipe blogger, as you will know, it's going to be kind of hard to make a recipe out of a baked potato in a microwave, but very simple recipes. Last night was butternut squash soup. And I still make homemade bread, so we'll have bread. For lunch, it will be whatever leftover was from last night's dinner. So for me, it was a vegetable stew, or maybe my tacos, and I leave out the walnuts now. So my cauliflower tacos, some refried beans, lots of rice, lots of potatoes, some pasta, a lot of soup, stir fries. Very simple, very easy to make recipes that have none of that added extra fat, if I can help it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's the Dr. McDougall says it all the time. It's the food, and I talk about in my posts and things about the simple starchy staples like rice, beans, potatoes, oats, corn, quinoa. Yep. These foods that people in populations have eaten for thousands of years, and it's nothing new to you or me. But it is a concept that growing up in a semi-ag background, it was definitely foreign when I first adopted it, and it's great to see that the changes, right? Even I think there's a lot of listeners now in some of these groups, I'm sure that this will be shared in, that may follow some of Dr. McDougall's principles. They may follow some of Dr. Clapper, some of what T. Colin Campbell has written, some of this stuff, but yet they get caught in the what a lot of people say is the celebratory meals. And I host a podcast with Corey Warren. It's the Plant Power Dad Hour. And Corey's a little bit more on the celebratory meal side. A lot of them where I'm pretty set on, if we're going to have a celebratory meal as our family, it's going to be once a month, if that. And it's going to be at a local vegan restaurant. And it's not something that I plan and try to do. It just, sometimes it happens. I have a meeting or something. But what is your view now? As someone, like you said, you've had you've done the celebratory meals, and now you have this health scare. And like my family or my parents, I worry about them having too many celebratory meals at their local vegan restaurant. Yeah. What is your view on that? And especially as someone speaking to others who have had serious health issues, what does that celebratory meal look like now? And are you planning on having celebratory meals, or what does that look like?
Well, with the restaurants closed right now, there will be none. So that's for sure. Since I've posted those 2 articles with the stroke and how I lowered my blood pressure, I've had so many people contact me, email me, message me about being in the same spot I was, where that 1% or 2% of the time, and some people it's 20, 30%, they will eat whatever they want. And they said, thanks, Chuck, you opened my eyes. This was a real eye opener. This was a real slap in the face. I need to hunker down on my diet and get it right. So if anything, it was an educational experience. I don't ever want to go through it again.
Sure.
But Wow, celebratory meal. I think I'm done. I mean, I really do. If I bread is my treat now because it's not quite, it's white bread, it's a sourdough, it's a homemade uh, the no knead bread that you
Okay.
can just make in 18 hours, 12 hours overnight. That kind of feels like I'm cheating eating bread. But I'm still losing weight, so I'm happy with it.
Mhm.
And if I ever get to a plateau, I'll cut back or stop that too. Um, I don't see if I ever go back to that restaurant, and this was a really good restaurant. It might be once a month, like you said. It might be once every 3 months. In the past, we used to celebrate holidays, and there were only 3 or 4 a year. Some people eat like that every single day,
Yep.
and I think that's the lesson learned. You can't do that.
Certainly, and like I say I get in a lot of not arguments, but there's some philosophical differences in the way
Hmm.
that I will say this. We probably we're probably eating the exact same meals now that we're
Yep.
in quarantine. We're
Yep.
probably step for step eating the exact same things. Just
Yep.
the past 3 days, I think we've had a rice and bean dish probably three
Mm.
or four in the past 5 meals, 3 or 4 times, and potatoes, sweet potatoes, and I think for our listeners, if you're really stuck on this celebratory meal thing, which I know many are, and I've got family, very close family members who eat a plant-based diet, eat a vegan diet, but as soon as you start wanting to take away their celebratory meals, there's a lot of pushback,
Yep.
and it's understood, right? We all want to have things to celebrate. We all want to do things like that. But I think we just should look at a celebratory meal a little bit differently. I love an ice cream. I love taking some frozen bananas with some cacao powder, blending them up with a little bit of vanilla extract, and that's a celebratory meal to me.
Hmm.
And all it is 3 bananas, right? And I'm sharing that
Yep.
with my wife. And where others, I could have went to the grocery store and gotten the vegan ice cream, which is about 100% fat. And
Yeah.
if you want to put some fat on your bones, you go get that vegan ice cream. And so just looking at celebratory meals differently, I think is something that we should all do, especially if we have some underlying health conditions or we've come from them, because it doesn't take very long to get used to that healthy, whole food, plant-based, low-fat celebratory meal when you're cutting out the once a week or once every other week celebratory meal. Because
Right.
it just in my own experience, if you start dabbling in that vegan food, that rich Western oil, salt, sugar filled vegan food,
Hmm.
that plant-based food, that whole food plant-based food just doesn't taste so good, and you have a lot
Yeah.
a lot more trouble with it. And I think that is a worry that some have when they want to give it up because it just doesn't have the same appeal. But it'll grow on you.
Your taste buds should change.
Certainly. What we're all going through. 30% of the world is in some sort of shelter in place, self-isolation, quarantine, call it whatever you want. That's what 30% of the world's going through right now. If you're watching this, you probably are going through something similar. What is the brand new vegan? What is your advice for someone? And I've given some advice on it, but we've got, families of 1, families of 10. We've got elderly people, we have younger people. We have this is crossing all stages of life here. When you're going grocery shopping, what are you
Mhm.
looking for? What are you not necessarily stocking up for the next 3 months, but we're talking about, we don't want to go out every other day. We want to go
No.
out as limited as possible. So what foods are you focusing on purchasing now that we're in this, and who knows how long we're going to be in it? And just some tips for grocery shopping, some tips for easy preparation, because there's a lot of people who have been thrown into this that maybe
Yeah.
were just beginning their plant-based or vegan diet, and any tips I'm sure could help.
Boy, that's a hard one. Um, I am kind of limited myself to either ordering for a curbside pickup or for delivery.
Mm-hmm.
And so now is a really odd time because you're not going to get everything you want. So it's kind of pick and choose what you can get. Um, if I can get potatoes, I keep those stocked up. If I can get rice, I keep that stocked up. Brown, white. Right now, it doesn't matter. Brown's obviously better, but if all you can find is white, that'll do. sweet potatoes too. Things that store well, oatmeal. I couldn't believe I couldn't find old-fashioned rolled oats on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
For anything less than $30 a pound.
right. My grandson is he's here with us with my daughter, and he likes, and he is not vegan by any means. He is a junk food kid, 7 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and he likes his pancakes that grandma makes, and she uses baking powder. Well, we were buying the aluminum-free baking powder,
Mm-hmm.
and they accidentally substituted in my order just a generic baking powder with aluminum in it, and he could taste it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's hard to even find this stuff on Amazon. But oatmeal for sure. I like frozen foods. I like frozen fruits. I keep a lot of frozen blueberries, frozen strawberries for oatmeal in the morning. Frozen vegetables, you can't go wrong there either. We get lots of broccoli, cauliflower, stuff like that. You can actually buy a big bag of kale, fresh kale, and you can freeze that too. As far as canned goods, I keep a stock of tomato products because here in Oregon, tomatoes don't grow year round. I wish they did, but tomato sauce, paste, crushed tomatoes, lots of beans, dried beans if you can find them, canned beans if you can't. Any will work. You can always rinse off the salt and have a bean dish, a chili, a soup. So this is staples, really. That's what I focus on myself. And of course, toilet paper if you can find it.
If you can
Good luck
find it,
there.
but you can't eat it. So don't stock up so much on that.
Right.
Don't fill that shopping cart with 20,000 rolls of toilet paper.
Please don't.
No, it's a crazy time, and I'm sure it's even crazier as you've gone through this health scare. But Chuck, I know this is going to be so helpful to so many because you are a voice and you are a leader in this plant-based field. You're someone who's dedicated years, almost a decade, to recipe development. And I know it is time consuming, to say the least. And I'm sure your wife has sacrificed just as much with the dirty kitchen and dishes, and it's a lot of work.
I told her last night, you got your own personal plant-based chef. She has no room to complain, and she's very thankful. So is my daughter.
Awesome.
So they are not. It's funny. Before, neither one of them are what I would consider vegan. Mm-hmm. They will have their cheese cheats, their pizza cheats, or whatever cheats. My wife grew up in the Pacific Northwest. She'll have her crab, her clams, whatever, if we were going out to the beach or something. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm doing the shopping and I'm doing the cooking and they can't go anywhere, they are 100% Madrigal vegan right now. And they are losing weight. Yeah. My wife has lost like 10 pounds. My daughter goes out and runs every day. She's fit and trim. So I know a lot of people are in this quarantine. They're just sitting on the couch eating snacky foods. We're the opposite. We're out walking, running. We're eating healthy, whole food, plant-based, no oil. And, we're getting lean and trim.
Awesome. And
I think that's what we all need to be doing right now, because we don't know if and when this virus is going to ever be done. And if it comes to your town and if you're exposed, you want to be in as good as condition as you can be to fight this thing off.
Yeah, and at any point in life, right? We're all getting older. We're all, there's no better time to start building up your immune system, to start building up your overall health than the present, because that's all we're guaranteed right now. So you better be focusing on it. And I'm glad to hear that everyone's doing good there. I know it is a scary time. It's an interesting time. Hopefully it's something we can talk about in 20 years and look back on and, laugh at, not be worried about. But I just have one more question, Chuck. You've been so helpful, and I hope this isn't a long one, and you've covered it before, but for our viewers, I'm going to send them over to brandnewvegan.com. I'm going to send them over to your Facebook page, and they're going to find some great recipes. But before they do that, how did you become the brand new vegan? That's what they want to know. They want to know, how did you become the brand new vegan if I'm going to be using all your recipes?
2008, I had just closed a small business I started in 1999. I had a computer repair store, and that was a hard blow. So I was very depressed. I talked about financial problems. That was it. I was almost bankrupt. So there's a lot of stress in that too. And I was very overweight, and I still smoked. It was basically a heart attack waiting to happen. I started watching some of the older documentaries. I watched before Forks Over Knives, before Game Changers. I watched Super Size Me. I watched Food Inc. Processed People. That's where I first became introduced to Dr. McDougall and Jeff Novick. And it fascinated me that food has that much power to heal us. And so I started dabbling in it, and my wife just threw up her hands and said, well, I'm not cooking that, whatever. And she threw her apron at me, pretty much gave me the kitchen. But from 2008 to 2013, I dabbled in it. I played with it. I wasn't 100%. I may not have even been 50%, but more and more meals, I was developing recipes, I'm not even knowing it. So I had my favorites, and in 2013, I decided I want to start a blog. I want to start sharing some of the stuff I'm learning, because I'm becoming more and more convinced this is the way to go. And I was losing weight back then too. So I was 225 back then, right? And blood pressure was through the roof and everything else. So after all that, I started to blog. I quit smoking. I started really tightening down my diet and eating closer to that 100% mark. And that was in 2013, and the rest is history. I've been here ever since. And I was finally able to quit my corporate job in 2017. No more night shift, no more corporate job, anything, and just be a full-time blogger since then.
Awesome.
And I've been very, very thankful to be able to do that, especially in this day and age we're living in right now. So, yeah.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Chuck, it was a pleasure to have you on here. You can find more about Chuck's health scare and how he's overcome that at brandnewvegan.com, as well as all of his wonderful whole food, plant-based, oil-free recipes that are great for beginners and experts and everything in between. And Chuck, you're also on Facebook, YouTube, and really anywhere you look, you'll be able to find some great recipes from Chuck on at Brand New Vegan. So thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a wonderful time talking with you, and I'm sure it's been a big help to so many. So I will see you all on another video episode very, very soon.